Thank you to everyone who watched my last video about how relearning to trust your body wisdom can be an absolute game changer. I'm Dr. Michelle May, the founder of Am I Hungry Mindful Eating Programs and Training, and the author of the Eat What You Love What You Eat book series. You see, when we can trust our body wisdom, we don't have to follow a bunch of rules to decide when, what, and how much to eat. We know from the inside out what's right for us. Now, of course, that sounds simple, but it's not easy. For more than 20 years, we've been teaching people how to be in charge of their eating. No more weighing, measuring, counting, or logging their food or exercise. It is literally about learning how to listen to and trust your body wisdom. So, in the last video, I gave you a simple awareness tool called the Hunger and Fullness Scale. It might help if you think of it sort of like a fuel gauge in your car. You wouldn't pull into every gas station you see, you'd first check your fuel gauge. And that's what using the Hunger and Fullness Scale is all about. I suggested that you use the Hunger and Fullness Scale to identify how hungry or full you are before, during, and after eating. That's just the first step, of course, because as you have this awareness, you might discover that there are some things that you want to change. And of course, that's what we're here for. So I'm going to answer some additional questions when we wrap up this video. But first, I promised that this time I would talk about fearless eating. What on earth is fearless eating and why on earth would that help us? Well, it turns out that many people struggle with symptoms that come from diet culture. Diet culture is that prevailing belief that certain foods are good and certain foods are bad, and you're good or bad depending on what you eat and what you weigh. The truth of the matter is that all foods can fit into a balanced diet. And when some foods are good and some foods are bad, we often find ourselves craving the foods that we think we shouldn't eat. And when we finally eat them, we feel like we're out of control and we can't stop ourselves. Here's the thing, the key to all of this is fearless eating. What that means is that we begin to learn other ways of making decisions about eating that don't involve looking things up and writing things down. In other words, we learn an inside out approach to making decisions. So today, I want to teach you three simple questions to ask yourself when you're deciding what to eat. The questions are: what do I want? What do I need? And what do I have? What do I want? What do I need? And what do I have? Let's start with the first question. And I do recommend you ask yourself this one first. What do I want is about acknowledging what you're hungry for, what you've been craving, what would taste good to you right now. Now, look, if you're not craving anything specific, then make the healthiest choice you can that won't leave you feeling deprived. Pretty simple, right? On the other hand, if you're really craving something that you were told you shouldn't eat or shouldn't want, then that's where fearless eating comes in. This is about making decisions that will be satisfying. I don't know about you, but back in my diet days, when I didn't eat something I really wanted, I would eat more of other foods. And eventually I'd get around to eating what I really wanted in the first place, eventually, right? So, asking yourself what you want is simply about acknowledging what would taste good to you. Now, the second question, what do I need, is about also paying attention to what your body needs. This is where you might consider nutrition information or what you're going to be doing later, and therefore what might make sense to eat. So, it's really about noticing how what you eat affects how you feel. And of course, we know that there are certain conditions that are influenced by what we eat. And so we want to pay attention to that. And if you are sensitive to certain foods or have an allergic reaction or side effects from eating certain foods or certain amounts of foods, then this is the time to consider that before you choose what you're going to eat. Once you know what you're hungry for, and once you've considered what your body needs, now is the time to make a decision about what you're going to eat. Sometimes it's all about what you want if your cravings are really strong. Sometimes it doesn't matter so much what you eat. You're not hungry for anything in particular, and you might focus more on what you need. Every decision stands alone. The last question, what do I have, is about finding a good fit for what you want and what you need. This is also about planning and preparation because if you don't shop or you don't cook or you don't take something with you to work or on your car trip, then you're going to be at the mercy of whatever happens to be available. And it might not be a good fit for what you want and what you need, and you might not feel as satisfied as you would otherwise. So, eating fearlessly is about really making decisions that fit for you. Now, I know that can be really scary. I know that if you've done a lot of dieting or yo yo dieting or been stuck in an eat, repent, repeat cycle in the past, it can feel extremely scary to think about making decisions because in the past, when you ate the foods you really wanted, you might have felt like you lost control. But remember, that happens because you kept telling yourself you shouldn't eat those foods. Once all foods are allowed, then those foods quickly lose their power over you and you'll find that you'll begin to use your own body wisdom to help you moderate your eating. There's a lot more we'll dig into on that later, but for now, I would just love for you to ask yourself these 3 questions whenever you're deciding what to eat. What do I want? What do I need? And what do I have? Now, let's go back to some of the questions and concerns you might have about learning to trust your body wisdom and fearless eating. And probably the biggest one is this won't work for me. You don't understand. I'm really messed up, or I really struggle with food. I do understand. I've been there myself personally, and I've worked with thousands of people who have been there too. And I just want you to know that no matter how crazy your eating feels to you sometimes, we've seen that, we've worked with it. This is what we love to do. And soon you'll be feeling so much more in charge of your eating. The key is to stop trying one diet after another, thinking the next one is going to be the one that's finally going to fix this. You see, you're not broken. You may have forgotten how to use your natural signals of hunger and satiety and how to eat what you love without feeling like you're going to lose control. But those are skills that can be relearned, and we want to teach them to you. In my next video, we're going to tackle emotional eating. I want to help you understand why sometimes the cravings that you have feel so powerful and what might be going on. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please go to my blog and post your questions and your ahas and your challenges, and we'll keep working on that. Thank you so much for being here.